Lincoln County Board of Education, we're meeting in special session this afternoon, Wednesday, February the 10th, 2016, 4 o'clock here at the county office. The purpose of this special hearing is to conduct hearings that have been requested by some employees that have been affected by reduction in force activities and or transfers provided by West Virginia Codes 18A22, 18A27, and or 18A2-8A. If everybody would join us first in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Mr. Baker, my colleague here to the left, is on his way here. He's in a snowstorm, he said, from Parkersburg, so hopefully he'll get here in a minute. We'll get here in one piece. Like I said, this is a little different than a regular school board meeting. I'll try to just give everybody some insight, because I know everybody doesn't attend these things all the time and how we operate. But typically at a regular board meeting, individuals, if they chose to, could sign in and speak over here. There's Mr. Baker. Someone would let him in, please. There he is.
Told you. Rose held I'd be here right at 4.
You did a good job. We can all stop praying now. But the procedure is a little bit different. Like I say, a regular school board meeting, if somebody wanted to address the board, they may sign in and then they may speak to the board. We don't have dialogue with them, but they can say things to us. In this process that we're going to go through an employee hearing, it's a little bit different than that. The persons that are having the hearing, they're in a minute, they're going to let us know if they're going to have those in open or closed session. And they may have individuals speak on their behalf as a part of their testimony that they'd like to have. So that's how that works. So I just wanted to explain that's a little bit different, once again, than a regular board meeting, when you can always come and sign in and speak to the board. Now, if you want the board to have a conversation with us, you have to get a hold of Ms. Powell by the previous Wednesday and let her know that you want on the board agenda, and then you can show up on the agenda, and then we can have dialogue with you. So that's kind of the way we operate. Okay. From there, then, we're going to start with personnel hearings. Everything we're going to talk about here will be recorded and as a part of the record, so this will go on. But we're having personnel hearings for Lincoln County Board of Education. The date, once again, is February the 10th, 2016. West Virginia Code 18A22 requires county boards of education to conduct hearings upon the written demand of employees who have been recommended for termination, reduction, and or transfer and subsequent assignment. At such hearings, the reasons for the recommendation must be shown. The evidence to be considered by the board should be limited to the information provided by the superintendent or his designees in support of the recommendation and information submitted by the employee. Members of the public who are in attendance will only be invited to offer testimony and evidence if called upon by the superintendent and or the employee. Okay. Now, first hearing is going to be Ashley Butler. So Ashley, is it your, which do you prefer, an open or a closed hearing? Open. Okay, we're going to have an open hearing. Okay. If you'd like to, you can just come up and sit right up here, and if there's anybody that's going to be, if you need some support, you can bring somebody with you, or you can do that if you choose. Or if you want somebody to be up there, or I don't know, we'll talk about that in a minute if you want to have others to come up, and just feel free. Why don't you sit on this side, and that way, but they're going to have, I believe they're going to have 3 people on the other side. Okay? All right. Okay. Okay, now this is Ashley Butler. She's a Bo Ag teacher at Lincoln County High School. And she is here today because regarding the superintendent's recommendation to reduce the number of employment days she has in her contract. So she is, Mr. Midkiff has made a recommendation that her contract be reduced from 240 employment days to 220. She's asked for a hearing in regard to that, so that's why we're here. Okay. The superintendent has recommended that Ashley Butler be considered for reduction in the number of employment days. Therefore, the board will call upon the superintendent and or his designees to state and explain his reasons for the recommendation. After the superintendent has concluded his statement, the employee will be afforded with an opportunity to present witnesses and evidence. Written statements or documentations or documents may be submitted by the employee to the board for its consideration. At the conclusion of the employee's presentation of witnesses and evidence, board members will be provided with an opportunity to ask the superintendent and the employee questions pertinent to the proposed personnel action. As presiding officer, I will rule on all evidentiary and procedural rules or issues. Should any member of the board take issue with any of my decisions or rulings, procedure, or evidence, he or she may put the matter to a vote of the full board. While the strict rules of evidence will not be applied, evidence that is not germane to the reasons for the proposed transfer or proposed personnel action will not be allowed. And this hearing will be recorded. That's kind of my script, but now I got off the record here a little bit. Basically what we're saying is, the first thing we're going to do here in just a moment, Mr. Midkiff is going to move down, and then this is Tyree, the board's attorney, and in this instance acting as Mr. Midkiff's attorney, will be there, and they may have other witnesses that they're going to use. And then Mr. Midkiff is going to advise us as to why he thinks this is necessary. After that's concluded, and he's made his presentation with his witnesses, then you'll have the opportunity to give us your case, probably, well, that shouldn't happen. But please realize that this is a recommendation. We're sitting here as an impartial body right at this time. We're listening to both sides. There will be no votes taken today. The vote apparently will be on the 23rd of February. So we're going to conduct the two hearings today. The board will then consider what we hear today, and then on February the 23rd, whether we accept or reject Mr. Midkiff's recommendations, those will be decided then. Okay? All right. Okay, so at that point, Mr. Midkiff, please make a showing of the reasons for the opposed personnel action.
All right, thank you, Mr. Priestley. I'm going to turn this over to our legal counsel, Leslie Tyree, who's going to guide us through our presentations for the recommendation for the reduction in days for Ms. Butler.
Good afternoon, Mr. President, members of the board, Superintendent Midkiff. What I would like to do, first of all, is we'll just do away with an opening statement. I think Mr. Priestley made it very clear what we're talking about and why we're here. So the first witness that the administration would like to call will be Mr. Miller. So if he can come forward and have a seat.
Ms. Tyree, they could just, any witness, just identify themselves and they hold a position, they just advise us for the record, please.
Sure. Okay. For the record, just go ahead and state your name and position for the members of the board.
Matthew Miller, I'm our CTE supervisor at Lincoln County High School.
Okay, now what is Ms. Butler's position?
She's our VOAC teacher.
And she is under your supervision, is that correct?
Yes.
Now, the superintendent has recommended that Ms. Butler's contract be reduced to 20 days, which means it'll be reduced from 240 to 220. Do you believe that 220 days is enough to operate the program as it's currently operating?
Yes.
Do you happen to know, for the board's information, if there are any other VOAG instructors in the state that hold a 240-day position for Ms. Butler's position?
Not at all, my knowledge.
Okay. How many days do our other Lincoln County CTE instructors have in their contracts?
All of our CTE instructors are on a 200-day contract.
Okay. Do you happen to know statewide what is the highest number of days for a VOAG instructor in the state?
220.
Okay. Now, we're going to ask you a little bit of an opinion type of question, and that's okay because of the type of hearing we're having. Do you have any reason to believe that the program cannot be operated with 220 days?
No.
Okay. Do you agree with the superintendent's recommendation to cut the 20 days?
Yes.
Okay, if you could just explain to the board why you believe that it is acceptable to cut the program to 220 days. Cut the contract, I should say, to 220 days.
Well, before we had the job that was posted, I guess, was 220. and that was when Mr. Sachs was here. And there was a lot of things going on. The greenhouses ran all year, they were doing the farming, the small animals, the large animals, the fairs, the biotech, the diesel. So because he was doing so much, the other days was added to that. Well, we're not doing all those now.
Okay, let me ask you some specifics. You mentioned that we're not doing now some of the things we did in the past with this program. I'm just gonna ask you some specific things. In years past, before Ms. Butler came along, did the VOAG program raise crops in the summer?
Yes,
Is the VOAG program currently raising crops in the summer?
no,
Now, before Ms. Butler came along, did the VOAG program have some type of fish hatchery program?
yes,
Is there now a fish program?
no,
Okay. Prior to Ms. Butler coming, did the program have some type of small animal program for the students?
yes,
Do we now have a small animal program?
no,
Prior to Ms. Butler, was there a biodiesel program?
yes,
Is there now?
no,
Okay. Now, before Ms. Butler, did the students in VOAG grow things in the greenhouse often? Was that something that happened a lot?
yes,
Does that happen now?
no,
Okay. In years past, did the students have the opportunity to raise poinsettias and things of that nature to sell for Christmas?
yes,
To your knowledge, is that happening now?
no,
Okay. So I guess what I want to understand, I want to make sure our board understands, because this is what we need to be sure of. Do you believe that 220 days is enough to cover any type of projects or summer projects or anything that our VOAG program may need to do with our students?
yes,
Do you have any doubt that this program can continue to operate at its current level with 220-day contract as opposed to 240?
it should be able to operate based on, several CTE meetings I went to, talked with folks, they operated on a 220.
Okay. I don't think I have any further questions for this witness. I'll ask if Ms. Butler has any.
Would you like to ask anything, Mr. Clarify, or make any statements to Mr. Miller now? Once again, you're going to get the particular case. Is there anything you'd like to state at this time? All right.
Okay, I don't have any questions for Mr. Miller any further on this case, so you can just go ahead and step back, and next we'll ask some questions of our superintendent. All right.
Just identify yourself.
I'm Jeff Midkiff, Superintendent at County Schools.
Okay. Superintendent Midkiff, I'm gonna hand you a document and just ask you to identify this document for the board. Is this the letter that you gave to Ms. Butler regarding the reduction in the contract terms?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Hold on one moment here. Make sure everyone has a copy. Okay,
Would
so.
you like that to be entered into evidence?
Yes, I would like to have that marked as administration one, please, and entered in as an exhibit if possible. All right, Mr. Midkiff, in reaching the decision to cut the position 20 days, did you happen to research the history of this position?
Yes, I do.
Okay, do you recall approximately from your research, what year was this position originally created?
2005-06 school year, which one was this first?
Okay, so this position was first created in 2005, 2006, and how many days contract was this posted for?
The original contract was for 200 days.
200 days. Okay, do you happen to know how the contract increased from 200 days to 240?
As the program grew and the number of activities that took place in the summer months increased, the instructor at that time approached the superintendent at that time and asked that the days be increased. And over a period of 4 years, the days went from 200 to eventually a 240-day contract.
Okay, so the days got increased as the program increased what it was providing to the students. Is that a fair statement?
That's correct.
All right, so can you explain to the board why you are recommending to reduce the contract by 20 days?
based upon my research and conversations with the administration at the high school, many of the very reasons that the contract was increased for the additional days no longer are taking place in that program. So in my estimation, the extra 20 days wasn't warranted.
Okay, now you heard Mr. Miller's testimony about the things that he has discovered the program no longer does. Do you agree with that assessment?
Yes.
Do you believe that Lincoln County students will be harmed by reducing Ms. Butler's days?
No, I do not.
And is the program going to be able to continue at its current level with a 220-day contract?
Yes.
And will 220 days be enough to maintain the summer programs?
Yes, as it currently exists, yes.
Okay. Do you then believe it's in the best interest of the school system to cut the position 20 days?
Yes.
I don't have anything further for the superintendent.
Thank you, Ms. Howard. Ms. Butler, do you have anything, Mr. Midkiff, any clarification, question? Okay.
I have a question.
Well, that's, all those will be done at their conclusion of their testimonies.
Okay. The administration does not have any further witnesses to call, so I would just turn everything over to Ms. Butler at this point if she'd like to make a statement or anything she'd want the board to consider.
Okay. Mr. Butler, the floor is yours. Have you make any statements you'd like to make? You may call any witnesses, you may enter any documentation or documents you'd like to do. If you have any questions, just ask.
Okay. You want to go first, since you're sitting?
Just identify yourself and tell us, who you are, why you know what you do.
I'm Sean Cook, I'm the treasurer at Lincoln County High School for the FFA, and we are supposed to be receiving a $75,000 grant for funding and it's a apprenticeship with Refresh Appalachia, and we'll be getting high tunnels and chickens and stuff like that. And I believe that if you all cut the days, we won't be able to do anything with that grant. And also, it cuts our days towards the end of the year for like fair. She comes around and checks on us and we also have to do weigh-ins and stuff like that for animals. And she comes around and checks on us all, see how our animals are doing. That'd be all.
Shelby?
Sean, are you still going to be here, Sean? Okay.
Yeah.
Here in a moment, there may be some questions, but through those after both presentations tonight.
Okay.
Okay.
My name is Shelby Workman, and I am the president of the Lincoln County FFA chapter. During the summer, I participate in fair and I raise a market hog. I get it around the end of March, beginning of April, and that's the only time during school that fair has anything to do with it, or that school has anything to do with fair. Over the summer, Ms. Butler comes and she helps me with my record book, which is necessary for fair. She helps me make sure all my dates and everything in my record book is complete. She makes sure my hog is prepared and necessary that it needs. And then we go to fair, and all the money that I raise during fair goes to strictly me. It don't go into our chapter or into our school, it goes to me. And with that money, I save for college because I won't be able to pay for college unless I have scholarships and stuff like that. So fair is something that I need because it helps me pay for college.
Certainly understand that.
You just want them all at
We just
Okay.
one at a time, or
Austin?
anybody that you would like to speak? Make sure, right.
Just want to make sure that that's what it's supposed to do.
Just, once again, as they just come forward, just tell us who they are and
I'm Austin Gilbertson. I'm the vice president of our FFA chapter. I grew up on a farm, and I've always wanted to learn more and more about agriculture and different ways I could raise horses and better ways to doctor. And when I got to high school, I heard about Butler's agricultural program. So I joined, and it's one of the best things I've ever done. It's the best decision I've ever done in my life, because I've learned not only about agriculture, but about leadership and land judging, Um, and we've worked in the greenhouses, and I've never learned much about that, but now I've learned so much through this program. And I also know that it takes pretty much every day throughout the year to run a greenhouse. And if you cut those days, then we won't have anybody there to keep up with what Refresh Appalachia is growing in the greenhouse.
Ms. Tyree, I'm sure if you have any questions, please make
Yeah,
decisions.
that's okay, I'll let you know if I do.
I thought you would.
Hello, I'm Joanne Cook, I'm Sean's mom, and I homeschool my son in 8th grade. And I talked him into going back to school, to high school, and he absolutely loves the class. I don't know what he would do without it. And we buy our vegetables there, so they do grow vegetables in the greenhouse. We bought all kinds this past year. And he has not been so interested in anything in all his life. He absolutely, I mean, it's a wonderful thing she's doing. And with this new apprenticeship thing they're really doing, there's so much more that can make it grow and be even more. I homeschool my daughter right now, and she's looking forward to going to her class. But I think it's very essential that she's there through the summer because she's really needed. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Kelly Gilkerson, I'm Austin's mom. I think that there might have been a valid argument of cutting the program before the grant money was received. The things that you listed that the summer program operated on was correct. I couldn't hardly hear back there, but I don't know if you mentioned the poinsettias, and at Christmas there was poinsettias this past Christmas as well. But now that we've got this extra grant money, I believe that you need to keep absolutely as many days in the summer to operate the greenhouses and the chickens and everything that they had planned to do with this grant money, or receiving the grant was kind of useless. I believe Ms. Butler's going to need every single day. Like the president of the FFA spoke on, she went to the fair. I believe she was the only one that went last year, but this year you've got 12 people going to the fair, so she's going to have to go to all 12 students this summer and twice and check on the animals that they're raising to put in the fair, make sure everything's correct. I believe Ms. Butler's going to need every single day that she can possibly get this year, so I don't think this was the appropriate time to cut the program right after receiving the grant money, because this is the time that the program's growing. I think we need to keep her going as long as she can go. Because with my son, and I'm sure the other mother spoke too, this is the best program that's ever happened to him.
Ma'am, what was your name?
Kelly Gilkerson. Simpleton.
My name is Caden Aldridge. I'm the student advisor for Lincoln County FFA. And, well, I came here today to try to fight for her extra days, because ever since I came into her program, I've learned so many things, of course, the leadership and even businesses. And this year I was going to try out her fair to see how it was, because I've never raised any animals before. And I wanted to try it, and I believe if y'all do cut her extra days, that me, as well as many of the other kids that joined up, aren't going to be able to get that experience and won't know what it's like.
What's the top?
I have a couple of
Okay,
things.
go ahead.
Okay.
like they've been talking about with this grant money that we just received, we just did the partnership with Refresh Appalachia. They've started an apprenticeship program where they've actually partnered with the high school. And we had $75,000 that was awarded for the partnership. $9,000 goes directly into the program to help update greenhouse, fix it, greenhouse equipment. $5,000 has been to actually put in 2 high tunnels over at the high school that we're actually putting in on the 18th and 19th of this month. And we'll be able to host a training for the students to get them a certification. We're also gonna be raising chickens, so the students get the opportunity to chickens, and we're gonna sell the eggs. We're looking into doing mostly vegetables so that we can supply actually the cafeteria with fresh vegetables for their salad bar once or twice a week. We have to figure out what's the maximum potential that we could, so we can gauge how many times a week that we can provide them with fresh vegetables. One of the things with the grant, one of the goals with the grant, since we did actually receive the funding, is that we go year round. That was one of the goals with the grant, was to go year round. Since we now have this money and we have the resources to do it, we have the things laid out so that the greenhouses can be year round, mainly so we can produce vegetables. We want to produce the vegetables, we want to put them in the farmer's market, get the kids at the farmer's market, selling the vegetables. We talked about using the building behind the school that we put up to use that as a farmer's market, so that the community can come in, see the vegetables, see what the program's doing, and so that they have that opportunity. So we're looking at growing enough to supply the school once or twice a week, as well as to grow enough to put back into the community as well. Cutting my days would handle that a little bit. Of course, we have our breaks. We've got Thanksgiving break, Christmas break, we've got our spring break, and then of course we have summer break. And I'm gonna have to kind of pick and choose when I can be there to meet the 20 days that I'll have, so that continues to run. I don't know what kind of effect this would have on the grant. They were supposed to be here, and I guess they got caught up, to talk to you guys what kind of effect this would have on the grant, because they have not shared that with me yet. But we also, we've got a lot of goals. This is the starting point, of course. We're putting in the high tunnels. We've got the chickens that will actually be here on Thursday, and we've already got stuff planted. The greenhouses that have been completely seeded, so as soon as the vegetables are ready, we'll start selling to the community. The school, we're working with Angie over the lunch programs to get that worked out, to figure out what specifics we need to do to make that happen so that we can supply those vegetables how we're supposed to. Outside of the grant, a lot of the things I do over the summer is visit these kids with animals that are participating in fair. We have not stopped fair. That was one of the activities that they talked about. We have done fair every year that I've been here. This year will be the largest year that we've had. It has been a struggle, and I don't know if it's because of the rotation of teachers that was here before me, or I don't know why, but it's been a fight to get it back, and I finally feel like we're growing, we're expanding, and I'm hoping it's the consistency with me being here, and this grant opportunity is just giving us an opportunity to grow. I have 12 students that are signed up, all of which want to show market swine, so we will have a lot of pigs. And the fair board does require me to visit the students. They say once, I try to make 2, one at the beginning of the summer to make sure their animal is basically hogs weigh what they're supposed to at that point. Make sure that they're working with them, make sure that they're getting proper nutrition. Record books are a big deal. Those record books not only go to fair, if they do not have their record book at fair, if it's not updated, accurate, they will not show. They're very strict at the fair, which is good because it requires them to sit down, keep their records, and it actually shows them the profit loss of what they make. And like these kids, they get the money. And most of them use it for scholarships, most of them use it for, to go for college. I've had a girl, she said she paid for her first semester of college just because she raised an animal over here at fair. So that's pretty awesome to hear that. And she is going to school to be a vet tech. So it's kind of going back into the industry, which I think is pretty cool. But not only might they lose that opportunity, we also compete during the summer. I work with kids over the summer. My first year here, I had Adriana Burton, who actually won the state job interview contest. All that work with her was over the summer because the contest was the second week of July. So we worked through the summer, and she actually went on the nationals and was awarded a bronze. So we did really, really well in that contest.